Welcome to Super Scary number 12. I'm Nicholas.
I'm Bender. This is our first episode of December.
Yeah.
And as a special treat, all through December, we're going to be bringing you a different Christmas horror movie every Saturday. So tonight, we're going to start things off with the movie Krampus.
Krampus. Just came out a year ago.
Yeah, so we're kicking it off with a newer movie. I feel like we've done a lot of older movies recently. So brand new, just last year.
Yeah, and before we reviewed this, I still hadn't seen it, so this was a real treat for me.
Oh, nor had I.
Oh.
I hadn't seen it either. I just knew about it.
This is our second film that we have reviewed, coming from one Michael Dougherty.
Yeah, he also directed Trick or Treat. A film which, if you saw the episode, we both rather enjoyed. So I was excited to watch this one because I really enjoyed Trick or Treat and I was expecting more of the same.
Yeah, and we'll get into it a bit, but we did get some of the same. So before we jump into the actual movie itself, Krampus, just a little background info on the character. He's an actual mythological folklore character from the Austro-Bavarian lineage, very big in Austria and Bavaria. He is kind of like a counterpart to Saint Nicholas.
Yeah, I didn't do quite as much research as you did, but according to the movie and the legend, basically Krampus is sort of the evil, crotchety Santa Claus that shows up to steal away little children who have been bad instead of giving gifts to the kids who have been good.
Right. So rather than Santa Claus leaving coal or things like that, in this particular part of the world, they've got Krampus, who kind of takes care of Santa's dirty work.
Yeah, and takes, kids off to hell. So it's figured it'd make a great movie.
Yeah. So kind of like, well, they don't know exactly where he came from, but the guess is that he might be kind of like a holdover from the pre-Christian pagan traditions and their horned gods and all sorts of weirdness. So he's a cool character though. But yeah, the movie written by three people actually, Dougherty, and then also Todd Casey, who is working on a Disney show right now called Future Worm. Zach Shields, who is also writing Godzilla 2 with Michael Dougherty.
Oh, like a sequel to the one with Bryan Cranston?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I can get into that.
So, pretty cool.
Yeah, so the movie stars MJ Anthony as Max, your token main kid character in the film. Adam Scott as Tom. You might know him from Parks and Recreation. I had a hard time seeing anybody other than Ben in this movie. Toni Collette as Sarah. She was in Fright Night, the remake, 2011. She was also the mom in Little Miss Sunshine, and she kind of emulates the same character in this film. Stefania Owen as Beth. Conchata Farrell as Aunt Dorothy. I don't know where Michael Dougherty finds these people, with their names. David Kochner as Howard, who also The Office and Waiting with Ryan Reynolds.
He's been in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, you'll recognize him for sure. Allison Tolman as Linda, and Krista Stadler as Omi, the grandma.
Right.
So, movie opens up with a Black Friday scene, which I thought was kind of funny. Just a bunch of people beating the shit out of each other over presents.
Yeah. Which has become pretty true to life in this day and age.
Yeah.
You always hear the stories about it. We just had it a few days ago.
Yeah. So. Then we quickly move to the family scene. You've got Tom and Sarah are married. Max is their kid. And Beth, right, as well, is their daughter. They come home from Black Friday shopping with Omi there, and that's Tom's grandmother. Or Tom's mother, I'm sorry. Max's grandmother. She lives with them. And they're getting ready to welcome their extended family into their home.
The beginning kind of feels like the Griswold family Christmas.
It does.
When it opens up with, basically it would be as if Cousin Eddie showed up with his family, and that was the extent of things. But, sorry, what was the dude's name again?
Howard is the uncle.
Howard, Uncle Howard. So he brings his family over, and they also have his mother along for the ride as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, who was an unexpected guest. So you've got the hectic opening with the family fun of Christmas fun.
Yeah, and of course your main family of Max and Tom and Sarah and Beth, they are none too happy. I believe one of the lines is what is it? The mom is like, I just think some people should have to take a test before they're allowed to breathe. Mm-hmm. So you get that whole sort of Christmas vacation dynamic for the better part of the movie, I think. Really, I mean, like, really a lot of it until shit starts to go down. Mm-hmm. The way Krampus is sort of summoned is much like Dougherty's other movie, Trick or Treat, where the movie is a lot about respecting the traditions of the holiday. And so, in this particular holiday, it's about respecting family and respecting traditions and loving and giving, but also making sacrifices to other people, giving other people gifts. And so, basically, Max has a letter to Santa, and his cousins steal it from him, and which it was a really nice letter, and I love when the one girl reads it, and I was like, wow, you're a bitch, because he just really wanted nice things for you.
I know. It's awful. It made me want to cry.
But he sort of runs up to his room and almost mails it off, like he still believes, but then decides to tear it up and throw it out the window, and that sort of disregard for tradition is what brings about the blizzard.
Yeah, you see the letter and all the torn up pieces go swirling up into the sky, and almost immediately after that, the huge blizzard start moving in over their entire neighborhood.
And all the power goes out. And really from this point on, it's kind of like the family doesn't really know what they're dealing with. The power's out, and everybody else in the neighborhood has gone on vacation for Christmas. And so it's just kind of like, they have to figure out how to survive together, or how to be in this house together when there's nothing else to do except to be with each other.
Right, because the next morning, as soon as the family comes to and realizes there's no power, it's like the question is posed by Howard himself. I think he says, how are 12 people supposed to survive in this house without any power?
Or, no power, no heat, no hot water,
no food,
no nothing.
Really.
So, really, I feel like this movie is kind of basic in an okay way. Mm-hmm. Like it's a really good movie.
It's fun.
It's definitely what I said to you earlier was it's kind of like the new version of 80s children's horror, like Monster Squad and Gremlins and Goonies and things like that, where it's okay to watch this movie with your kids. It's a little frightening.
But it's PG-13.
Yeah.
As long as you are a somewhat cool parent, you'll be fine letting your kids watch it with you. I watched it with my son, and he didn't have any problems. So there's not really any over-the-top gore or anything that's going to scar a child.
No.
There's some implied stuff, but you don't see anything that's going to cause anyone any trauma later in life.
No.
It's pretty tame as far as what you might see in some horror movies today.
Right. So the plot sort of progresses as Beth tries to go and find her boyfriend, who is a couple blocks away. They were video chatting earlier the night before, and now she's texting him and he's not answering. So she sort of sets off to go see him, and on her way, this is when you get your first shot of Krampus, mm-hmm. and I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved that shot. It was great.
Very cool.
So she has a run-in with Krampus, doesn't come back to the house, and then Tom and Howard decide to go out and look for her, and again, the plot sort of thickens again. They kind of have a weird run-in. They're not really sure what's going on. They inspect a house that's been frozen over on the inside, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and a cool thing about some of the earlier encounters in this movie is you get like little glimpses of Krampus, but you don't get any up close, shots of him right away.
No, or of any of his helpers or anything.
Right.
There's a lot of implied scares in the movie, and I think that's what makes it a little bit more okay for like a younger audience to watch.
But it kind of contrasts with Trick or Treat in that way, because in Trick or Treat you're used to seeing pretty much everything right away.
Right.
Not a lot is saved up for the very end in Trick or Treat. I don't want to say everything's blown right off the bat, but this moves at a much different pace than that movie does.
Yeah, I agree. I kind of feel like, for me personally, it was like a little slow for the rising action of the film, and I felt like towards the end it was a little rushed. Like a lot of stuff started happening all at once. I mean, from the first time, aside from Beth, the first time the family has run-ins with the monsters, there's like 10 minutes till the movie's over. It feels like, and that's there's nothing wrong with that. It's a lot of bonding and relationship building in this movie,
which is really what the whole movie is supposed to be about.
Right.
That's the message, and I think one reason I kind of enjoy the fact that it's saved up for the end is because the end is that much more bombastic and crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Is because once that final act starts, it's like non-stop. You're seeing everything that you wanted to see throughout the rest of the movie all at one time.
And it's great. There's no any sort of explanation. There's no like there's an explanation from Omi, the grandmother, about Krampus and why he's here.
In a very cool transition, like a flashback scene.
Yeah, I made the comment to Lindsay when we were watching this. I was like, I love how this sort of style is kind of staple in all Christmas movies.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that flashback scene a lot.
Yeah.
And after the flashback scene, I love when they're sitting around the fire and Omi is talking to all the grandkids, and she says something kind of bleak, and Max is like, I don't know what you mean, and Aunt Dorothy is like,
she says we're fucked. Because I'm old enough to know when life is coming at you with his pants down.
It's like, that's the best line in the movie right there.
Yeah.
But they get attacked by toys, and it's great. They get attacked by elves, and they're awesome. I feel like the elves really kind of emulated the kids on the school bus from Trick or Treat.
Yeah, they did. Very classic-looking costumes, and very creepy, too.
Yeah, really cool. I particularly liked the one with the mask that had the tongue sticking out through the sharpened teeth.
They reminded me of some of the old... You might have seen these. Some of the old Christmas cards with Krampus on them that I guess it's tradition to exchange in some of the places where Krampus is more well-known. They would exchange these creepy Christmas cards with Krampus's face or him, like... kind of creeping behind children. And they usually include some sort of rhyme or something like that. And so the costumes that you see for his helpers are very, very like weird 1800s creepy looking.
Even the snowmen in the movie are like they have like stuff hanging off of them, and they're all like decrepit somehow, even though they're snowmen.
Yeah. There's like just a twinge of the ancient to all of these things.
It's awesome.
Cool.
It's really, I really do like the vibe of the film. The vibe is really great, and it falls in line with Trick or Treat, which is what I was hoping for, and I'm glad that it paid off.
Yeah.
But can't really talk too much more about the movie. Don't really want to spoil it.
Yeah, as far as the ending, I will say that it ends in a way that some people argue over the interpretation, what exactly happens at the ending.
I felt like it was pretty...
Well, I guess there's a debate. I can't really go into it, unfortunately.
Just have to watch it for yourself.
But I guess the debate is answered definitively in the graphic novel that came out, which continues the story.
Yeah. So, actually, we're probably going to bring that to you as well on SuperFanatics.
Mm-hmm.
So, keep an eye out for that. Make sure to come back next week. I think we'll be reviewing Silent Night, Deadly Night. And, until then, I am Bender.
I'm Nicholas.
Have a scary day.
Ah!
Surprise!